Hey everybody, it's springtime, which means it's time to bring your lawnmowers out and do an oil change. I'm gonna do an oil change on my Bad Boy ZT Elite. This is a 2020 model, and it has the Kohler 7000 series KT740 engine on it. What I like about this bad boy is they made it really easy to change your oil. Right here, find your exhaust, and this hose right here is where you drain your oil, and it goes right to the crankcase so you don't make a mess all over your lawnmower. So here's the tools we need. We're gonna need a 13/16 socket, a 11/16 wrench, an extension. This is my adjustable oil filter wrench. This is Kohler oil filter, and there's your part number for the oil filter, and it takes little less than 2 quarts of oil. So it'll take a quart and about that much out of the second quart. Okay, well, the first thing you want to do is take your dipstick out. That's going to let your oil drain freer. Gives it some ventilation. So we're just going to take that out, hanging down right there. That's where your oil is going to drain out. So you want your 11/16 wrench, 11/16 at the top. If you look right here, there's a place to put a wrench on so you don't twist your hose as you take this off. Well, this is a cap, and the oil is going to drain out of this hose. So you put a wrench on here to hold the hose. Then you want your 13/16 socket right on there. Just be careful you don't drop this cap in your oil pan. You'll get oil all over it and it's hard to find. And just like that, your oil's coming out. It'll take about 10 or 15 minutes for that oil to come out. So now we're going to take the filter off. Now it's time to take the oil filter off. This part can be a little messy. So what I always do is use an old dish rag. Slide right under here, underneath the filter, between the filter and the frame. And that'll catch oil as it starts to come out. So this is adjustable oil filter. Slip that around the filter like that. And I forgot where I got this, but you can get it about any automotive store. Once you get that there, put your extension wrench. Takes a little bit to get it going, but see how it grabs it? Starts to get it right off. I'll have to get it another different bite up here. Give it another bite. Go around one more time and it'll be loose enough by hand. There we go. Take it right off. Get some oil leaking, so as soon as you get it loose, just tilt it up. Drop it right in your pan. Let that drain out of there. You see some oil coming out of that, which that's fine. But you want to take your plug out first before you take your oil filter, or you're going to get a whole lot more oil coming out all over the place. So I just kind of wipe that off. I'm going to throw this rag away because I'm leaking oil everywhere. All right, we're going to let that drain for about 15-20 minutes, and we'll be back to put it together. Now you want to clean this threads off here real good before you go putting the cap back on the end of the drain hose. Factory had a little bit of orange tape on there to keep it from draining. What I like to do is, you don't have to do this, but what I like to do is take just a little bit of plumber's tape. I got that one all twisted up. I like to take just a little bit of plumber's tape, about that much. Not too much, so it makes it hard to thread. But I'll put just, wait a minute, but you can see where those threads, I hope you can. It's a bright day and I don't know if there's a good angle on the camera, but you see those threads are orange. That's where, from the factory, they had a little bit of this sealer. And you don't have to, but I like to. Just a little bit, peace of mind that it won't start leaking on me till I do this next year. But anyway, this looks pretty good. Let's take this tape, get nice and flat, lay it right on those threads, go right around. So that's just enough tape for one time around on those threads. Then your cap that we cleaned off that had the magnet in it. Try to do this so you can see it. Just put it, you're gonna screw it right up on where we put that tape. Get it good and hand tight. Put your 11/16 at the top to hold it. Your 13/16 sockets. We're just going to tighten it down. Don't over tight it, you'll strip it. About like that. And that's good to go. So now it's time to put the filter on. You want to check this ring right here too. You want to make sure your old filter gasket is not stuck on there. It's going to be clean right there. And you see that? That's where your new filter is going to screw on. Screw right up against it. So the instructions say turn 2/3 a turn after gasket contacts base. Well, it's kind of hard to know what 2/3 turn is. So I like to take my Sharpie, just put a line. So that way, when it touches, I'll know how much to turn it. It says 2/3, I like to go 3/4. So if it stops at 12, I'll turn it to 9. But before we do that, we got to put some oil in this filter. I almost forgot that step. Hold on, let me get the oil. All right, now I got my oil, my filter ready to go. You don't want to put that filter on there dry like that. You want to fill your filter up with oil before you put it on there. That way, when you start it, your engine's not running without oil because it's got to fill this up first. So if you start it with this dry, your engine components will be without oil until this fills up and starts going into your engine. So fill this up first and you won't be without oil that long. I just fill it to the top of those threads right there. And this is Kohler 10W30 synthetic blend. That's what the mower calls for. So that's what we're going to put in it. So then I just like to take a little bit on my finger, put it right around that gasket. So now this part you got to do fast, because if you don't, your oil's going to spill out before it gets put on there. It drip down a little bit, so we'll put a little bit more oil in it. So we're right at the top where the threads are. Maybe just, nah, it's good. All right, I hope you can see this. But anyway, I left this here to catch some oil when I spill it. So we're gonna put it right back where the filter goes. As soon as this gasket touches, that's when I'm gonna put the wrench on it and turn it 3/4 of a turn. So let me get up here so I can see and do this fast. You're always gonna leak a little bit of oil, you can't help it. Okay, so it's touched. Well, I am just about at 12. So I'm gonna put my wrench on it. Gotta find my wrench first. It's all right. We'll get her in there. So we want to go 2/3 of a turn. That's about a half a turn because we started right there. But I'm going to go ahead and do 3/4. I'm going to stop at about 10 o'clock. Feels good right there. All right, so our filter's on. I'm just going to take my rag, wipe right around it. So we're going to come back and check for leaks right here after we started. But you don't want to over tighten this filter. If you over tighten it, what you're going to do is you're going to mash that filter. I'm sorry, not the filter. You're going to mash that gasket. If you mash that gasket down, it's going to leak. So you don't want to over tighten it, but you don't want to under tighten it. So a good 3/4 turn after it touches. And that's why I put my Sharpie mark on there. So I know that it touched over here. So I just turned it till it was right here. Which gave it a good 3/4 of a turn. All right, now it's time to put the oil back in it. So when you look at your dipstick, you lay it up here so I can, you want to be between, you got, this dot is full. Wait a minute, where am I at? There we go, sorry. This upper dot is full, the bottom dot of course is low. Anywhere in between these dots you want to get. I don't like to get it right on the full dot. I want to do just a little bit below it. That's how I've got it measured out. I just don't like it to be over full. So that's where your dipstick came out. That's your oil filler hole, I'm sorry. So just put my funnel in there. I know I'm going to take almost 2 quarts. So this is the oil that I used to, there's a little bit in the filter if you remember. So I know it's going to take all of this. So I'm just going to dump all that in there. Fresh, nice oil. Lawnmower's going to be happy, happy, happy. I think it runs better with fresh oil. It's like getting a oil change in your car and a car wash. It seems to always run better. There we go on out. Let that drain a minute. So I had to put the camera down to switch out. Okay, so I'll let that other first quart drain a little bit in there. So I know from past changing the oil, that takes almost 2 quarts. So I marked it right here at the 300 line. So I'm gonna stop at about 12. I'm gonna start it and check it and see how much more I need. And I'm gonna finish filling it up to wherever it says. So, this is where you gotta be careful that you don't overfill it. If you overfill it, you're gonna have to take your drain plug out again and let some oil out. And I done that the first year I changed the oil and it's a pain. So let me check. You can't see for the sun, but I got a little ways to go. Sorry if this camera is jerking, I've got to hold it with one hand while I pour oil with the other. Okay, we're just about where we want to be. I I said, I'm gonna get it down to the 12 mark. That's ounces. And the 300 is milliliters. So I'm gonna get it down to where there's 12 ounces left in a bottle. That looks about right there. Just a touch more. Okay, we're just about 12, setting up level. All right, so I'm gonna put this aside and take this out. I got an old rag right here I'm gonna lay it on, collect the oil while I check it. Make sure we got some in it. All right, we're reading just above the low mark. So now we'll fire it up, let it idle for a minute, let the oil get circulated, and we're gonna see how much more we need. So I let it run a few minutes, turned it off. I actually backed it in the building here because it was so bright. It was getting hard to see what I was doing on the camera here. But I've let the oil settle down and I checked it, and I actually had to add a little bit more. So out of the second quart, I'm between 12 ounces and 300 milliliters, and it's right where I want it. So when you check it now, you're not gonna be able to see the oil because it's so clean, but the oil is right there. The oil is right there where the pencil's pointing. So it's just below the full dot. Anywhere in between here is okay. I just don't like it touching the full dot, just because I don't want it overfilled and it's hard on the engine. You don't want it below the low, of course. But anyway, we're right there. So we're gonna be good to go. The next thing I need to do is change the hydrostatic oil. I don't have time to do that today. I'm gonna mow, but I will make another video on changing the hydrostatic oil. So if you want to do this, if you're planning on doing this, you can collect your items before I do my next video. You're gonna need 2 of these, hydrostatic oil 20W50, and these are your 2 hydro gear filters. This is for CTZ and ZT mowers. So you're gonna have to have a set of 2. But I will be back and make another video to do that. Thank you all for watching. All right, that's it for today's video. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and a like. Share this video if you got a friend with a bad boy, it might need an oil change. So with fresh oil, we're gonna mow today. So keep on mowing them bad boys.